Okay, yes,
Yeah, what else?
great. All right, then let's go.
Oh.
All right, hello, everyone. I am Luke Sherburne, the chair of Manhattan Community Board 5, and this is the executive committee, Manhattan Community Board 5. So we're going to get started with our agenda tonight. The agenda is on here for the committee reports, and Kevin isn't here yet. I texted him, so
coming.
hopefully he'll be on his way. So we'll go back to the election committee for that later on. But we can get started. And Tiffany, well, I do want to keep her here in the agenda tonight because she's traveling. She's gonna join later, so we'll do her report later tonight, but keep it there during the board meeting. So I think that means it's up to you, David.
Oh. Okay, we have 97 things. We don't have planes, trains and automobiles, but we do have buses, automobiles and more automobiles. So we have three things. Lexington Avenue bus lane upgrade from 60th Street to 52nd Street, and the upgrade is an dedicated offset bus lane in order to do speed buses through the corridor. It already exists from 96 down to 60th, and it actually exists in pieces below that. And so we had a presentation from MTA, and we also had some conversations with CB 6 and CB 8. And we have come out, in support of what MTA wants to do in this corridor, but also generally in support of running these offset lanes, down through that corridor as much as possible. The tricky part is 42nd Street, where Lex runs, past the train station. But so we came out in favor of that one. The 43rd Street shared street project, we only have a tiny sliver of this, the edge of Lex. Everything else was CB6. But we got a full review from DDC and DOT, and it's essentially converting more space to pedestrian use, redoing the crossings on Lexington Avenue will be raised, the sidewalk height.
No problem.
Don't mind the plan.
Did you?
Very self, very self.
That's where we keep the microphone.
Call me Grace.
Yeah. And the only thing that we kind of weighed in on this a little bit was that there's still a lot of space reserved for loading or potentially parking. And the committee felt that parking is the lowest possible use. And, if that can be minimized and the sidewalk widened instead, that would be our preference. So that was that one. And then we had kind of reached out to MTA about being in better touch. And the idea originally was really their capital projects, things like elevator improvements, so that we can help get the word out to the community when these big projects happen. And the first thing that they brought us is the service swap between the F and the M, which travel on the 53rd Street tunnel and the 63rd Street tunnel. And instead of the F going on 63rd and the M on 53rd, and then they cross at Queens Plaza, they're going to have the F run on 53rd and the M run on 63rd, and then they won't cross. So, it's you really have to be on the inside to follow all of this. We have a diagram that's been included. So those are our three.
Any questions? Okay. All right, we will now, or should you want to do the joint letter too? Want to write that out now?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, I think it's this.
That's the lens.
Do you know if that was circulated tonight? So the joint.
The joint letter is in the resolution package.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in the reservoir package online.
Right,
That
that's
would
the
go down.
same. Yeah.
Okay, So we were approached by CB4 to sign on to a letter that they had originally drafted. The Penn Station, you know, if you've been following this, there was a precedent about a month ago with the Secretary of Transportation and Andy Byford, who's the new head of the Penn Station redevelopment program, whatever they're calling it. And so CB4, in looking at scope, they actually had met with Byford, I think wearing a different hat than the CB4 hat. But the public realm portion of all of the work was not included in the scope that was being discussed for the new federal project. And so CB4 drafted a letter. We actually, Samir and I weighed in with some comments on that. And they've asked us to sign it jointly, CB4 and CB5. And outlining what the scope of the public realm is. There was a whole public realm task force that did a lot of work. And defined zones and the work that should happen in order to make sure that the operations within the station and you know, the pedestrian activities and the rest of it in the public realm surrounding the station are all dealt with at the same time. And so that's what the letter asks for and addressed to Andy Byford. And it's, you know, going to end up being a longer list of people based on who's involved in that project. And so that we'll be distributing that draft.
Okay, which is actually in the package.
In the package.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a voting item for tonight because it wasn't able to, based on the timing, go to the transportation committee. So we're gonna vote on it to refer to the full board for this Thursday's meeting. So with that said, questions? Any comments? Members of the public online? Okay. Take this to a vote, then.
You wanna call it? Go ahead.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Okay, sorry, we're doing a little
Alright.
figuring out here. Okay, I am gonna just go through last name first. All right. Okay, Borden,
Yes.
Chow,
Yes.
Kate Talal. Friz,
Yes.
Gaucho.
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Lavingia,
Yes.
McCall.
Yes.
Mijatovic is a yes. Nodi Victor,
Yeah.
Revis is absent. Sherburne,
Abstain.
Sigmund.
Yes.
And Zoo.
Yes.
Okay, and I believe we have sufficient yes votes there. We have unanimous. We have all yeses.
Great. All right, moving on to, so landmarks did not have quorum this month, so we are gonna vote on those resolutions. So do you want to present those? I don't know if Kevin or Zone.
I'll do
Kevin, go ahead.
it. Yeah.
To the
Two,
plant.
what's that? I'm sorry, the plant sacrificed my latest. Two relatively straightforward resolutions this month. The first one was 395th Avenue, which is the Gorham Building. If you remember, we actually had a reso on this same building last month with their louvers. This one is they are selling their development rights, the unused air rights, and so they're doing a continuing maintenance program as part of the offset. All good things. You know, it's a building that was landmarked. It was built back in 1903, but was landmarked in the 90s. So it went through several different renovations before it was landmarked, and the restorations that they're planning as part of the maintenance program is going to do some long overdue, just you know, TLC for the building, cleaning and repairing the limestone facade, removing old coatings and biological growth, restoring the bronze balconies, copper cornice, and waterproofing to protect all those features. At the street level, they're going to remove some outdated materials, refinish the storefronts, and repaint historic arched windows. Unfortunately, a full redesign of the lower floors isn't possible now because of the retail that's in those locations. But they were gonna set up safeguards to preserve the landmarks, historic architecture on that floor and set up a path for continued preservation.
You come to us next month.
Do the second one.
I said, are they coming to us next month?
Oh, we'll see.
All
Yeah. Sorry.
Any questions,
Uh,
comments? Yeah.
Big two plans though.
The second one, great building, Persian Square Building, it's 125 Park Avenue. If you come out of the south end of Grand Central Terminal, it's the big building, big old building on the left. They are gonna do a thoughtful redesign of the entrance on 42nd Street. So again, if you come out if you come out of Grand Central onto 42nd Street and look to your left, there's a giant TD Bank right there. But the entrance to the building, they're gonna redo the whole facade to make it look like what it used to look like, but with modern materials. I'll spare everyone the details, but it's in resolutions if you really care about what materials and scale that they're using. But it's terrific. It's exactly what, as landmarks we want. They're restoring it to what it used to look like before it was renovated with modern materials, but it's gonna restore that old character. So we didn't get a chance to vote on it, obviously, but it was a terrific presentation.
Question? Comments?
Just one comment on the Pershing Square building. I think they tried to restore a lot to similar design elements. I don't think it's like a one-to-one restoration specifically, but certainly drawing on a lot of the same inspiration for the other building and surrounding structures.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay, let's roll time safe bundle these two and take it to a vote.
Oh.
All right, by the way, if I mispronounce the name, please just call me out because I'm still figuring things out. Okay, Borden. Yes. Okay. Chow or Chu? Chu, thank you. Okay, is Encore here?
Yes.
Yes, Dalal,
Yes.
Frizz,
Yes.
Gasho,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Lavingia,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Mijatovic is yes. Nodi Victor,
Yep.
that's absent. Sherburne,
Abstain.
Sigmund,
Yes.
absent. Zoo.
Yeah.
Okay. We're tabulating, but I think we have sufficient yes votes here.
All right.
Thank you.
And then Kevin, I skipped it at the beginning, but just update on the election.
Correct. Election committee, the early nomination period ended a couple weeks ago. Per the bylaws, the last chance for anyone to nominate themselves or another member of the board, it will be Thursday from the floor. Currently, we have all of the spots filled by our current officers. Thank you very much. As well as Catherine, who's running for second vice chair. That's the only competitive office at the moment. So on behalf of the election committee, I welcome any and all candidates. That's really the update.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving along to parks.
Okay, so we had 3 different items this month. There's other stuff, but mostly with 3 different items. So first up, we have, as you may recall, the very contentious Bryant Park Corporation Winter Village from our letter. We were really pleasantly surprised with what Bryant Park came with. They really addressed some of our concerns about how
That's a good.
First.
really is a sign that we need more plants in all of our open spaces in the district. I would just like to say, take that as a sign. They're speaking. They really addressed a lot of the concerns that we've had previously in past years regarding congestion and crowding, especially along 40th Street. So the Winter Village, it's already being built right now. It opens on October 24th officially. It'll run through January 4th with the shops. And then the rink continues until March 1st. They really spoke about the programming of the market itself, the holiday market. There's currently no additional marketing activations planned for it. We do expect more to come. And they've made a couple of key changes. They've added additional decking on the south side, which should help with accessibility, which is something we care about. They also expect it'll help with crowding. And they took away shops from that 40th Street outside that perimeter, which is something that for 2 years now people have requested. And that was in response to a lot of our concerns, and they removed those 12 stores. They also, something that like was very near and dear to the committee's heart, added, I think 11, 12 additional exit signs throughout the park for better wayfinding, especially in light of the safety concerns that we have. So that was something that we really appreciate them adding. And we talked a little bit about some surveys that they had done. We've got some offline requests for that and a little bit more clarity around what can be disclosed from their committee, like their general board meetings, to everyone else regarding like finances or other matters, because that came up during the meeting to get a better sort of financial picture of how much this contributes overall. We still want to engage with them on additional items, obviously. This isn't sort of the extent of it, but we really take this as a really good sign that we've hit reset and the conversation is really moving forward in a collaborative way again. So we voted unanimously to approve it, 12-0.
Question? Comments?
So the next one sort of gets at the heart of a lot of the concerns that the Bryant Park long-term arrangement sort of stirred up in the committee. This is a request and it's in a pre-stage, which makes the decision around this much more difficult, and the committee really grappled with it. It's the pre-stage where the Department of Parks and Recreation is going to FCRC, the franchise committee, to seek permission to enter into a sole source agreement with Union Square Partnership, which is the current bid that essentially has a donut hole to take care of all of the sidewalks, but not the park itself. What complicates it currently is that they voluntarily do some park maintenance right now under a different entity, the LDC, which is the I've got it written down exactly in the resolution, but it's the exact corporation. It technically predates that. It also came out of like the Suite 14 Development Corporation. We can talk all about the history. But so this would allow a more sustainable model to allow money that is raised in the park from concessions, whether it's the restaurant, potentially other concessions like a market, not necessarily, and then permanent events to stay with the park through that nonprofit, the LDC, which will be a separate entity. So there's an entirely separate governing structure that would be set up, including a whole board. All of the compliance stuff would be separate. Union Square Partnership would have an umbrella element to that, but the bid would be separate and this would be separate underneath that. So the Parks Department was Union Square Partnership was very proactive in making sure that they got this on our radar pretty early and wanted us to be happy about it. This has been an ongoing sort of piece of contention for this neighborhood for many years, like within the last many decades, not recently. So the Parks Department also was curious to have our opinion and feedback on what we wanted them to focus on. In light of sort of these broader concerns, this is one of the parks where maintenance really belongs to parks, even though it's not currently being executed that way. That is most of what the committee focused on, about governance, transparency, data reporting, a formal request for a notification where the committee board is emailed directly, and sort of limits around the number of events, which have happened in other parks, and sort of implementing some of the best practices that seem to be working fairly well in other types of arrangements like this to help protect and provide guardrails around some of the other stuff. The other important thing that did come up and does actually exist in other licensing agreements with the city, that any money that comes from this supplemental funding that flows back through these events in the park does not go to executive compensation for the legal entity in which the city enters into that management agreement with, which was both a request that came up at the committee, and then in checking, also there's precedent for it and exists. So that's sort of one of the primary things that and then like public seats, an actual vote, making sure that everyone's very clear on that. we spent more time considering those items than the actual maintenance stuff. That I think everyone really wants to have happen. So there's a lot of sort of angst around this general question, but ultimately the committee did feel unanimously that, well, almost unanimously, there's consensus around it, that money flowing back to the park for maintenance reasons would be beneficial. And so the garbage situation was one of the items that made it into that, but it was really sort of this, is this a good thing for the park? Yes or no? And sort of the underpinning conflict between that, and like best practices and how to put up guardrails to avoid a lot of the stuff baked in early, into it. And so we ended up voting yes with a bunch of things we'd hoped to see. They are going to come back to us when there's actually something for us to respond to, but this is sort of the comment that we can give when 90% will be sort of fixed and not really valuable once they come back. They do expect this to go to be heard at the FCRC hearing on October 17th. And they told us that they would begin negotiations basically the next day. So we might see this again at our November cycle meeting. Because I think most of it is pretty cooked already of kind of what they want. And they're anxious to get it done as soon as possible. They're very clear about that. So that sort of weightiness, I think, weighed on a lot of people. But we voted 11-1, and the one pulled out was more about principle of not privatizing the maintenance and outsourcing it. Even with the number of safeguards, that it was still just not workable. Sorry, it's a lot, but it's.
Any questions?
Thank you for the overview. Could you clarify a little bit how about the park? Because I know there's like already that brewery thing there, there's already events there.
So it gets really confusing as far as who does what and who is responsible. So this is going to help, we all hope, clear it up, but also might make it more confusing. So the restaurant itself is a concession, it's a concession agreement with the city. That is currently out for RFP and open bids. They came to us last year in 2024 with information about what we'd hope to see in that space, and the request to expand it to be a year-round thing. There is a possibility that the revenue from that, or a portion of the revenue, instead of flowing into the general budget for the city, then flow back to whatever entity this is. So permits for all of the parks, I have to double check on Bryant Park, they do still go to the Parks Department. So they're still responsible for issuing a permit and they have to sign off on it. They can't really say no without a good reason, but all of these spaces are permittable. So something that we reference here, though not by name, and we reference it in other resolutions, is that Madison Square Park is limited in the number of like fundraising events and activations they can have, though we need to be a little bit more detailed. One is actually a food thing and is separate. So there's 3 buckets. Beyond that, though, if you are a mega international corporation, they've already hit their cap, but you're like, I don't care. I'm just going to pay the fees. You can pay the city of New York a bunch of fees that are in a schedule that's posted, depending on how much of the park you want to take up for a private or semi-public event that is a marketing activation of some kind. That is something that is available, and this year did almost happen with a Disney activation, I'm told, but then they didn't go through with it. It ends up being so expensive, even for those large groups, that it's not quite worth it. But so there is a schedule for that. So that still ends up going through the Parks Department. In Union Square right now, the holiday market is a separate agreement with the city of New York. It's not like a subcontract of the partnership. And same thing for the green market. The green market will be completely separate from all of this. It's not, they don't expect that to even be up for consideration. There's also the night market that has a short-term contract also with the current provider is Urban Space, who also is the current provider for the holiday markets. Currently is doing a food market that will be coming up for review also, but those are all with the city of New York in some capacity, and then it goes back into the general fund. It doesn't stay with the park. So right now, Union Square Partnership, though, to fund some of their work, they will partner with sponsors, like their movie night is partly sponsored by the Alamo Draft House, who then does some of that stuff. They said that those fees that they raise or partnership things that fund it at like a fairly minimal level, it's like sort of roughly, like it was like under $100,000, they said. They didn't quite specify. But they think that this will allow them to do a much better job of what's currently there and actually properly take control of it. But the clarity of who is doing what, especially because the name isn't changing, is also sort of a different thing. It's also a sole source agreement that is going outside of the normal solicitation process that you would normally have to do an RFP, is because it's determined to not be a major concession. There's no such thing as minor concessions because there's just not. But I have a little bit more confusion because there's some other stuff that it could be substantial if they anticipate that more than $100,000 will be flowing, but sorry, it's really in the weeds.
So just like play that back and say,
A lot of
there's like more clear like lines between who's talking what, they'll be more efficient, they'll run more events, have revenue that way. And then the other thing is instead of it going to like the general city fund, it's now staying.
Depending on the terms of the agreement. Some of those things are possible.
Got it.
This is all very hypothetical right now. Because the city, like the Parks Department was unable to give us a sense of what they were sort of hoping for beyond they're a very good partner, they've got a long history, we want good things for the park, we agree. Because they would be negotiating through us at that meeting as opposed to actually negotiating. And this is just permission to negotiate, which gets weird, but there is also the possibility this would get more confusing, especially because the partnership already manages SAPO permitting for the events and activations that happen in the plazas that are around Union Square. So there's a lot of moving pieces. It's very confusing. The LDC being part of this and having a whole different governance structure that would then be built out by this. They're using the term small C conservancy, even though this wouldn't be formally a conservancy and it wouldn't be changed.
Just a kind of high level, so we're gonna get this again in November, and seems very possible, or if not, very soon afterwards, and that will be the actual agreement where we'll have terms to review and sort of comment on specifically. This is just an opportunity to kind of get brainstorming. These are the things we want you to think about and include and put into this resolution so that it's sort of getting in the door before because once the terms are there, it's kind of an up-down sort of situation. So this is trying to craft and mold those to be a bit more advantageous for kind of the issues that we care about.
Also, this was not as discussed at the meeting. It was a little bit, but not entirely, as far as who is bringing the event. So right now, when certain things are permitted in other parks, like Madison Square Park, because they're responsible for also fundraising a certain amount of money, they generally come to us, normally, and they are soliciting partnerships and deals and activations. They do more soliciting. My understanding from like very informal and like reading through lines conversations is that that solicitation is not necessarily the intent of Union Square Partnership to begin, but that was not explicitly said during this meeting. So some of the sort of legacy events that currently happen in Union Square Park may still happen. So this is sort of, where do we think the money should come from? Do we think it creates weird incentives? Do we think that certain things should just be totally blocked and not go to certain other things? And whether or not events should even be included at all. Plus, also, if there's any maintenance things you want, snow removal.
You're on.
Just a procedural question. So as Libby laid out, this is very complex. I was derelict. Libby asked me to sort of help with some drafting that I was unable to do last night. I see that it's not in the packet. Would it be amenable to you if I sent those thoughts to Libby tonight and we had a more final version tomorrow? Is that okay?
As long as it's consistent with the conversation that happened at committee, if there's a little bit of tweaking.
Of course.
Or
Okay.
line or whatever, as long as
Great.
we're, representing what that discussion.
Sure.
that's fine.
Great. Okay. Appreciate that. Great.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay, last one.
Okay, so the last one was a really fun one that we're always excited to see. It was Union Square Partnership stayed on, and we also had the Parks Department with Art in the Parks program to come and present two art installations that are going to be happening in Union Square. One is happening in that Triangle Park, which has become sort of a place for art every year. It's this piece called Recess Reads. It's by Fitzhugh Carroll. It's a red steel sculpture. It's got these really cool, I don't think the pictures have made it into the document, but they will make it into the final packet. There's holes sort of inside it and people will naturally kind of climb on it. It is set, it's made out of iron and it's red and it's really beautiful, but it's set to be installed in that Triangle Park from October 20th through May. The installation will happen overnight. And then the second one is this piece that'll happen in that pavilion, because currently over the winter there is no restaurant in that ladies pavilion at the north part of the park. And so it's by Masseray Studio, which is an arts collective, and they've got a lot of experience with historic sites. And so this one isn't finalized yet. They are going to come back to us with more details once it begins to take more shape. It'll last for approximately 30 days in January and February. And this is going to be an installation of light and sound, and it'll meant to be interactive in that park, but especially because it's light and sound, the residential nature of the area, they wanted to make sure that we were there. So the sound will only occur between 4 and 10 to avoid disturbing the residents. And it'll be interactive as people go to it. And then the artist can also control it remotely. So if there are issues, that can also be accounted for. It's pretty exciting to have two different art projects happening in the park this winter. And it was great to have the Parks Department there to be able to present it because they don't always have the resources to be able to do that. So
Any questions? Comments? Okay, thank you, Libby. All right, last but not least. Linda's.
Okay, so we had two resolutions. The first one is for a cafe in a Pops, which is one of the 6.5 Avenue pass-throughs between 53rd and 54th, 325 Avenue of the Americas, La Grande Boucherie. I must be. So we approved it, 11 approved, 1 no. They agreed to put up signage where the bathrooms were open to the public, no purchase necessary, which made all of us happy. To educate the board, new members, on our need and desire for bathrooms in Pops. We are going to pass out, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to have available the new local law 58 of 2025, which is the new bathroom policy for the city. And in this local law, they asked for recommendations for location. So we're working with that and helping to answer that request. And in addition to that, we have another 1-page document that Julie put together that talks about the importance of access to public bathrooms. And I'll just tell you quickly why we think public bathrooms matter. Essential public infrastructure. Bathrooms are as fundamental as benches, streetlights, and sidewalks. Without them, people can't comfortably spend time in public spaces. Equity and dignity. Access to a clean, safe restroom is a basic human need. It supports seniors, families, delivery workers, drivers, people with medical conditions, and anyone who spends long hours in public. Public health. More bathrooms mean cleaner streets, less public urination, and improved sanitation for everyone. Tourism and economic vitality. Midtown is a global destination. Welcoming, well-marked bathrooms improve the visitor experience, encourage longer stays, and more spending in local shops, restaurants, and cultural institutions. And finally, public safety and livability. Well-maintained bathrooms deter antisocial behavior and create safer, more cared for public spaces. So that was the first resolution, first Pops.
So is that statement being attached to the resolution, or is that going on the website? Where is that statement going? The one you just read out?
We're gonna hand them out at the sign-in table. why do you have another idea?
No, I wasn't sure. I didn't see it on the reso packet, so I wasn't sure if it was going with the resolution. I think we could put it on the committee page, so that way it's available for people to know what we think.
Sure. I'll talk, we're gonna put a whole bunch of stuff on about the bathroom. And we're working on a lot more things. The Fund for the City of New York, fellow, has a lot of information, but we need to, work on that and turn it into actionable items, which we're working on. But the first actionable item is actually, attempting to comply with local law 58 for 2025. Okay. And then the second resolution is the Manhattan Plan. And can we pull up the website?
I don't wanna do it from this computer because we've had trouble.
Can someone pull up our
sharing
website?
From the host computer, so if somebody is a panelist. And they're willing to share their screen, Cam, Alon.
What we're trying to do here is, with the Manhattan Housing Plan, we voted 10-0-0. So it was unanimous, and what this is this is our ideas being submitted to the Department of City Planning for the Manhattan Plan regarding housing. And so we have, because not everyone that's on the board now has been involved in this, because we started looking at this in June.
So Alon, if you go to cb5.org, scroll down the home page.
We're showing
on the bottom.
Is this
Like,
Is that?
yeah,
Is that it?
go to our website.
Our website.
Our website.
Okay,
And then click to the special projects page.
you got
Or
it.
not even, just scroll down the home page. Just
So it's
scroll
on
the
the
way
homepage
down.
too.
Project?
Keep going.
Nope.
No, keep
Isabel's
going.
gonna do it, but she's not.
Oh, yeah, keep going.
Keep going, right there. So there's a button that says
Manhattan
Manhattan
Plan
Plan.
Affordable Housing Data Hub.
Yeah, that's it.
The
And you said
Manhattan
public
Plan, yeah.
restroom working group, we're working on that too.
Okay,
Okay, so we have some preliminary information here. Why don't you go down? Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, so we have 3 charts with information. Okay, you guys can look at this tonight. Then let's go to the next thing. I want to show this at the meeting. Let's go down further. Okay, so stop. This is the chronology of when we started this. And the reason I want to do this is I recall that there are seem to be people on the board voting and not really understanding that some of these projects and topics we've been working on for several months. So we started this before the end of the summer, when some of these people may not have yet been on the board, or people maybe were away on vacay or something. So we started this on June 25th, when we had our first public hearing. July 10th at the full board meeting, we passed our first resolution, which was a letter, an intro letter with our points of agreement from MSMX. Then on July 4th, and then on July 14th, we had some more comments that we submitted. Oh, we submitted on the website.
Yeah.
We can change that.
Right, right.
Then on August 18th, we started a Google Doc where anyone on the LUHC committee could put in their information and brainstorm. So we gathered a number of people, and the people that really worked on this were David Sigmund, Michael Greeley, Julie Chu, and Tristan Haas. Then on September 17th, we had our second public hearing with additional recommendations that we had, which is what you're looking at now. That's our draft resolution. And the whole point of this is the button. You see the button? I was concerned that we could get caught up in a very lengthy amendment, people wanting to add stuff, but here's what you can do. Just hit the button and you can add whatever you'd like to add to this plan. So then we won't be there all night figuring out amendments. So I'm hoping this will work. So that's basically it. Our Manhattan Housing Plan, what we have here is we have basically 4 general topics. You can go through them specifically. I'll just read them off. Unleashing supply, ULURP reform suggestions. Everyone knows what ULURP is, right? Who doesn't know?
Well, they're not gonna raise their hand now.
Urban land use reform process, okay?
Super straight.
Then with the third one is holistic sustainability, resiliency, and then public spaces and livability. In our closing statement, we stated that Community Board 5 supports a balanced Manhattan plan, linking new housing with affordability, sustainability, open space, and livability for future generations.
Okay, we're into questions.
Oh, sorry, that's not I have a couple.
Question.
Yeah, I read through this, great document. The only question I had was, so the four titles are pretty neutral, except the first one, which is a little bit hyperbolic and maybe negative. So why is that one unleashing versus just like increasing, which would be a more neutral word?
I don't, that's what the writer put in. David, you wanna?
So comfortable with that word.
Go ahead.
Just unleashing the increasing.
Can you just, what's the line number?
This line number 497.
497?
I think it's 502 and the one that I'm seeing from earlier.
Literally with
And it
it.
was Michael Greeley, but he's not here, so. David, thank you.
It's the first category.
First category. And it's going from what to what?
Unleashing to increasing.
Unleashing.
Well, it is interesting because there are things that are locked up that need to be unlocked, so increasing really isn't accurate.
I also thought that that's the word the city,
Unlocking.
I thought the city uses the unleashing word. In their PR, they do.
It's not increasing, it's actual locations that aren't available that need to be set free.
Another suggestion.
Oh, sure. So are we doing unlocking?
Unlocking.
All right,
Oh,
great.
okay, I was thinking, or
Unlocking,
unblocking.
David?
Unlocking it is. All right.
Yeah.
What was the other thing?
Great. Got it.
Oh, okay. I think we're still in questions. Online. No, okay, comments. You're on.
My comment was solely that, it is my understanding that DCP has yet to form the Manhattan Plan. They will form the Manhattan Plan, and we will also have a chance to look at it then. Like, I don't know how changeable it is, but anyway, just to Nancy's point about like sort of amendments and changes and things like that, it's great to have a bunch of ideas. But I'm sure some version of this will come to us again for some sort of comment. Like, there's no plan.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think we have the timeline on what that looks
No,
like,
I
but presumably, yes, at some point in time,
Right.
they will release a
Have a
and
plan,
we'll say
and then we can
things, yeah.
comment on that plan, right?
Exactly.
And whether it's changeable or not, I don't know, but at least we will have the ability to comment on the actual plan itself.
That
I
would be
just-
my
I-
assumption as well.
I'd just
Yeah.
like to say that it's much easier to put input now than
Yes,
it is later, because when MSMX came to us. And I was not in charge of this.
yes,
There was input already done and it was very difficult to change them because they
Yes.
had spent a lot of time and effort and they were really not willing to make any of the changes. So I would say get it in now.
yes. I am not
When-
trying to undermine that message. I'm trying to support you in saying that also we may have other times to comment, so people aren't so like.
They got the button.
They have to,
They have the button.
Use
And
the button.
actually- And actually, you go in and do the button, you're gonna learn a lot more. So I think all of you should go in and do the button anyway. It's really exciting. I mean, one of the things I think sometimes holds back my committee, our committee, is people not being informed.
Hmm.
And so people vote no because they're uninformed, and that really gets to me. That's really not that's not really the spirit of a community board and the service of community board members.
More comments. So.
So I tried to click on the button.
No.
Like, I can select a district, and when I select move next, it says the survey is now closed.
Oh.
oops.
Oh, no.
But I'm not sure, I just have a weird.
No, I think you're correct.
You click.
we're late with our comments, that's the reality.
And then click skip to
But
next
they
question.
are willing to take our comments, but they've closed the public
Okay.
comment.
I didn't
Hear it.
know.
So we'll change the
So
word.
maybe we
Okay.
can submit the idea.
But can't you still do the survey?
We can still submit
Okay.
ideas.
Isabel said you could, so I don't, but.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
then it's not the so probably the button shouldn't go the survey, it should go somewhere else.
It works.
Thank you for
Yeah.
testing it.
So,
Oh, yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
You can do it.
Fine, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
ignore what they say and press it anyway.
Or it's like the landing page is fine, and then the button at the top, whatever, I click, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's the landing page.
So does Isabel need to
Yeah.
add, does Isabel need to add something? I want to make sure it works because,
No, if you click the button, do the button as you say, and then you go to, I just picked English. Then you go there, you can click a district, you can add a comment. It's all works. I think maybe if you go to the top, I'm
Mhm.
guessing where it says share ideas.
Skip.
If you click skip to next question,
Don't do
doesn't
that.
work.
Okay.
It'll stay at
So-
the current page.
So just do the big yellow text box right in
Yeah.
front of you once you get to the landing page that the button takes you to. Okay,
There used to be a survey and that's what they found.
Got it. Ideas are good.
any other comments? Okay. And then the last one from land use is a little bit of an open question, so I'm gonna have Yaron. Sure. Been discussed a couple times, have Yaron summarize it and then we'll go into a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean,
what we got from
this
the
has been discussed, but I'll go through it a little bit. There are a series of charter revision proposals on the ballot in November. Three of them, there are five of them. Three of them relate directly to the way ULURP is done in certain instances. Very quickly, one, it creates a fast track for affordable housing, ULURPs in districts that, in the districts that are producing the least amount of affordable housing, per the Fair Housing Framework that the council passed. Another one is, creates a fast track for what it determines and defines as modest, changes. And a third creates a sort of appeal mechanism, for ULURPs that are, denied or modified. I can go into some of that, but I don't know if that's necessarily what this meeting's for. Obviously, we're not here to electioneer or to, guide people in terms of voting or not voting. That's not our business. But we are experts in ULURP in the sense that we are a part of that process. So what the committee decided to do was to pass a letter that helps explain what we think would happen should these revisions pass. And namely, that we think it would lead to more affordable housing. So that is the letter that we passed.
And then to add some additional context, so this came up last cycle at land use and there was some question about, are we electioneering? What are we allowed to do? And similar questions actually came up at Borough Board this past month as well. So we reached out to law, shared with them this letter and said, are we breaking the law by doing anything with this? More or less. And so they got back to us and essentially said, the letter, this resolution as is fine. You are not electioneering, it is informative. The idea is that you're sort of putting information out there. They did note that it was a close call, that we were very teetering on the edge of potentially advocating one way or the other. But they did say it was okay. They also indicated to us that they will only hold this position should we do nothing with this beyond posting it on our website.
Yeah.
So
Which is what we would do with a resolution.
I think there was discussion about potentially, putting this out as a voter
Yeah,
guide
right,
or,
right, no, no,
people
right.
inform themselves. If we did any of that,
Right.
that might tip us over the edge. So we would only be able to have this sit on our website
Right.
and be, just like all of our other resolutions. So,
Can I say two things?
yeah, go ahead.
One is, I just want to add, because it's kind of funny, given the sample size of one, but we had a member of the public come to our land use meeting. We were discussing this, sitting here live, who specifically, after hearing the conversation, was very excited to hear that we might be able to help educate him on how to vote on these ballot initiatives. So I just want to get that out, that the member of the public requested this.
And what was your second thing?
What was my second thing? Oh, forget it. My second thing was not important.
So I just want to have the conversation here because I think while we did get the comment that it is, it seems to be legally permissible for law's interpretation. We are kind of on the edge and also with, some of the activity of some of the other governmental entities who shall remain nameless. There may be some questions about sort of other people doing electioneering in this way. And so I just want to make sure that we are comfortable passing this resolution and putting it on the website as is. If there's any reservations, speak now, forever hold your peace.
So this would still go to full board for a vote?
Correct. It would go to full board and then, it cannot be, I do not feel comfortable with us having any amendments to this, so it has to pass or fail as is. Because we won't have time, obviously, to go back to law, prior to the election. So it would have to pass or fail as is, and then it would just live under board actions on our website, like every other resolution. Any other comments? Okay. All right, so then we will take this forward to full board.
Did this got a vote, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the vote not on?
I don't know, I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's on there, yeah.
Yes.
All right, so I was hoping to announce, so Tiffany has decided, as some of you may be aware, to take on the role of chair of CSQL. She's not on, unfortunately, right now for us to hear the applause. She'll have to watch the recording. So, and I know that they had a resolution tonight. Mohit is still on the board. He's just taking a step back because his job is becoming a little bit more demanding for him. So I guess we are gonna keep moving through the agenda and hope that she joins us. I just texted, otherwise, just see about how we present the Riders Law letter that came out of them, because I know it was also a long spirited discussion. So while we hopefully wait for her to join us, let's keep going through the rest of the agenda. And we'll go to budget task force.
Fantastic. So it's in progress. No, it's going great. Wish we had all the money in the world, but we've had a couple of meetings. Our task force currently includes Melissa, Michael Greeley, Catherine, Andrea, Kieran, and Todd, and myself, and Maurice been coaching us through this as well. Yeah, so we're hard at work on our silos, looking at what we submitted last year, what was approved, what wasn't, what's still important to us. We've been in touch, hopefully, with all of you to discuss budget needs at your committees over the next couple of weeks as well. So if you can give that some thought and get back to us, we'd really appreciate it. We're out to bids to get their feedback and input. We also did a district needs survey that was up on the link kiosks. We unfortunately didn't get like any real concrete feedback from that. And we're out to a variety of different community organizations as applicable per silo. So our silos again are Health and Human Services. Melissa's working on this along with housing. Catherine is also teaming up with her on housing, and Catherine is taking court infrastructure as well, which includes things like sanitation. Public safety and parks is under Michael Greeley, which is why you've seen him popping up at some of your meetings already. Andrea is working on youth education and child welfare, and Kieran and Todd are looking at transportation. So we've got great coverage. We are doing another check-in mid-month, and then we'll be back to you at the top of November with an outline of our district needs as well as our budget requests. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and just so timing on this, so this is going to come back to the executive committee
Yeah.
to review and vote on. We have until after our November meeting, so that would be the meeting where we have to decide and vote on this, with the budget requests and
Yeah.
defending statement, one go.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Kim and the committee for their tireless work on this and for taking on additional responsibilities beyond their standard committees. So thank you very much.
When we talk about budget requests at the end of the month?
Sorry, what?
Would you attend that, when we talk about budget requests at the end of the month?
Yeah, I think you've sent out a bunch of invites. Is that
Yeah,
one of them?
okay, great, yeah, included in. Got it, I'm ahead of myself, great, love it.
Okay. So that's it for committees. I still don't see Tiffany, so if I have to, I will jump in and kind of give a summary of the writer's log that I talked with her previously, but
Sorry.
yeah.
This is so obnoxious what I'm about to do because I went to the bathroom and I'm now gonna ask a question about probably what I missed.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
at the budget,
It's not about the budget.
oh,
So the district needs statement.
oh, yes,
Is that,
part of the process as well,
okay, and,
Yeah.
okay, so that's, we're doing them in parallel.
yes,
Okay.
correct, yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, 2026 calendar, we talked about this last time. I think everyone was generally amenable. I think the only outstanding question was, would SLAP and CSQL switch nights? I think you were both able to survey your committees and got no nos, so we'll take that as all yeses.
Yes,
Couple
more yeses today.
Even better, all right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make that change.
Is that change is reflected here or no?
That change is reflected here. What's not reflected here is what's due in December,
This December,
this December.
like, so I think what we had talked about last time is that Kevin felt pretty confident that he could get quorum.
Kevin felt confident, that doesn't sound.
Kevin felt confident
You're second, Kevin.
that he could get quorum, hold on, please. On
Oh, right, we did have Kevin. Zona. you
the
have to talk, right?
20th, no,
No, it's usually December second, I think, yeah.
so someone moves to the 18th and that's fine, and then. Oh, I think your options were. The 20, your options were the 23rd or the 29th. And you chose the 23rd,
I think that's correct.
yes,
Least worst.
oh, sorry, or the 30th, SLAP is gonna take the 29th. So. No, so SLAP's gonna move to the 18th, yeah, and so no one's gonna meet the week of the 29th is what we decided, that the week in between Christmas and New Year's is worse for quorum than the
Yes.
23rd of December. So that's on you
Wow.
to get
We'll
quorum
see what
on
happens.
the 23rd of December,
Yeah,
okay.
this month is not.
Is that landmarks on the 23rd or is that SLAB?
No, SLAP is going to the 18th,
Okay.
Thursday, the 18th.
I do just want to caution Kevin,
Yes,
that while,
I'm sufficiently worried.
well, well, in past years, when we had meetings that late, you know, like right before Thanksgiving, right before Christmas, we were able to cancel the meeting because there weren't a lot of applications.
Yeah,
I suspect, based on what's coming next month from MR, I suspect there are still going to be a lot of applications for that
yeah,
December 23rd meeting, probably not cancelable.
right.
So I just forewarning you.
Didn't we discuss
Do our
though,
best.
that some of that is related to like a mayoral administration shift and.
Yeah.
It's actually the January cycle. So if the application is being heard by the committee on 12/23, it's not going to, like, it's still in the
Yeah.
new administration, so.
Yeah, I guess it depends when the LPC chair actually leaves. I
Right,
think it's the
okay.
very end of the year.
So then the
So yeah,
January
maybe-
cycle should be okay, maybe by that, maybe, okay.
Yeah, with it's.
Right.
I mean, I doubt any new administration is gonna have new commissioners ready to go.
Right, right.
I think the 16th, I think we were hit by the 1-2 punch of the holidays and then also is the start of the new calendar shift. So it was, we had our committee meeting 4 days after the full board meeting.
Yeah.
So it was just a shock, I think.
I think that's okay, and worst case scenario, we have the executive committee to.
Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah.
obviously, we don't have to, but.
well, I mean, if those are our two choices between those two dates.
Yeah.
We think that'll be the least.
Yeah.
Worst, but we'll find out.
Right. Great.
Love the confidence.
Right behind you, Brad.
Okay. No. Okay, so moving along to, so a removal of member for non-attendance. So just to remind everyone, our bylaws, are very clear in terms of what the attendance requirements are. And, we are also, I think, relatively lenient in our enforcing of those. We send out letters when people have breached those. We've talked about this multiple times at exec previously. And so we are now in the situation where we have one of our members, Mercedes, who has not attended a single meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, since the new appointments have come. And also last year was one of the people who got letters
Correct.
saying that you have not attended. So it has been an ongoing chronic problem. I don't believe we have heard from him at all this go around. So per our bylaws, and we confirmed this with the law department, we are allowed to recommend someone for removal from the board. And so that process begins with a vote at the executive committee, which is what we're going to do tonight. Following that, we are going to send, assuming that passes, we are going to send a letter to Morris informing him of that and also of sort of the state of play. I think there's like a draft that Josh has worked on, but I don't have a final version right now because we're making some modifications to it, but it's essentially saying what I'm saying. That letter will go to him and he will get the opportunity at the November board to come to the full board and, say, I'm sorry, I couldn't attend because X, Y, and Z, or not. And then at that board meeting, the full board will vote on whether or not to remove Morris. So that's it. Any questions? You're on.
Sorry, just, is it like even an informal part of their process that's just like, would you like to resign, which would obviously make this a lot easier?
That is something that often happens, I understand. I mean,
Right,
we
okay.
have not removed someone in my
Right.
entire tenure
Okay.
on the board, and I think it's been a while. But that is something that
Okay.
people tend to do because also if you resign, your name is not on the public record for having forever and ever for having not attended.
So as part of the letter that he may get, should this pass tonight, we could also be like, or you could resign if this doesn't fit into your life and.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
great.
fine. We can add that to the letter.
Yep.
Okay,
Wait, there's,
Conker.
You mentioned we sent him a letter last year. Was that a different kind of letter than this one? What did
That was a like, you have breached our attendance policy,
Have we sent you breached our attendance policy letter for this cycle as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Libby.
You talked about a process, if it goes to the full board vote, that then whoever member can come and sort of plead their case. Is that process question? What's the structure of that? Is there a formal opportunity for that? Or is that member meant to speak during the public session in advance of it to, like, how does,
We're
think our bylaws.
gonna have a vote. I think our bylaws, I don't know if our.
like,
bylaws-
how
they
does,
don't specify when the person.
like, how does the structure work, and are they afforded the opportunity if it's an agenda item, are they afforded an opportunity during that period to then do it? I'm just wondering to
Yeah,
make sure
I
that
think we
that,
have it decided.
whatever piece of that is clear as
yeah,
well.
that has not been designed. I would say, we
Yeah.
have to have a vote, and so I would anticipate that person being able to speak, directly
During that
before
moment,
that
okay.
vote. As part of that process, I don't,
I mean, hopefully it doesn't get denied.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious so that every opportunity is afforded to
Yeah.
whomever.
yeah, that is generally the ethos we are trying to put behind all these attendances, work with us, let us know, so, yeah, so they'll have an opportunity that meeting to choose to take it.
Just a point of clarification, because I feel like there's a difference between like, hey, I'm not able to attend proactively, so there's been like no communication.
Absolutely not.
Right, none. But I guess to follow up on that, I would assume we might treat someone who is proactively informing their committees and trying to be responsible. I would assume treat that a little differently. Maybe not to the extent of what we're seeing here, though. This is pretty,
I mean, this is pretty much like a,
yeah.
fully off the radar,
Yeah.
fully gone. I mean, I would say, I think our record speaks to that like, we have not removed anyone because we are very willing, like, we want to work with members who
sure.
are having some issues to try and,
Yeah.
do we switch committees? Is there another, like, is something else working for you? Is there another way that we can work? Or, do you need to take some time off from the board and go
Totally.
back? So we are very open to solutions, but in this case,
Yeah.
it's a one-way street right now.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay, let's take this to a vote, please.
Okay, Borden,
Yes.
Shu.
Yeah.
Bilal,
Yes.
Briz,
Yes.
Goshaw,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Lavingia,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Miatovich is a yes. Nodi Victor,
Yes.
Sherburne,
Yes.
Sigmund,
Yes.
Zhu. We have unanimous vote, I believe.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, before we get to the social event, so I'm gonna just give kind of an overview of the CSQL. So the conversation that they had at committee was relating to horses in Central Park. They had representatives from Central Park. And what is this, the local?
Local 100.
100, the union that sort of deals with the carriages in the park. And they had a spirited discussion about the process. This is a introduction for a bill that would phase out, or I guess no longer create any new permits to allow horses to operate within the park. And so it would, result over time in a phasing out as those permits expired. Sorry, I'm just trying to get myself to the. Thank you. The end result would be there would be no more horses in Central Park. I think the conversation, I mean, it passed, so they are in support of this with a number of kind of conditions or things that they would like to see. My understanding is that the people who voted against that held similar concerns, and it just, they wanted to see those done before they could support it rather than including it as a condition. So that's, I think, the distinction that I understand, with the exception of Mike Hayback, who I think just likes horses in the park and thinks it's part of New York. So that passed 8-4, and those considerations were part of it, were essentially a phasing out period to help people who part of the local 100 find them with financial support and sort of job training, and sort of make sure those people land on their feet, and that it's not just, you can't do your job anymore. Good luck. There was making sure that the horses are dealt with in a humane way, and by humane they mean not sold or slaughtered, but found a way to kind of make sure that the result of this is not just a bunch of horses die. That's sort of the opposite of the goal. And then also that there was not currently a public hearing held for that introduction for that bill, and so they would like to have that public hearing, make sure that that occurs. So that passed 8-4-0-0 at committee. Any questions? Come here.
So for the public hearing, it says that the council and the Manhattan VP schedule a public hearing. Are we asking the VP because he's our borough president, or does this intro only apply to Manhattan?
I think it only applies to Central Park, so by chance it only applies to Manhattan. So I think that it is just reaching out to both of these to make sure that public hearing happens. Chloe.
So I actually tried to attend this meeting, but the Zoom was being very weird for me, so I wasn't really able to jump in and ask questions, but I was there on the YouTube. I missed pieces of it, but I was wondering if you happen to know if there was more of a reason this was spoken to at the meeting for why, if there was a reason why the carriage drivers can't, the animals that are currently licensed here, the way the law is written means that they can't actually operate as carriage horses anywhere ever in the future. That if my horse Ace and I'm a carriage driver, there are other places in the country that you could go do that. I was just wondering if there was a rationale behind the law when it was written for that it's not just to this, it's more of an animal element to it. I was wondering if there was a rationale behind that.
Rather than speculate, I'm gonna go to Marisa.
So, I mean, I think one of the issues is that the law is not written very thoroughly. And so there are a lot of pieces that are not addressed in the law. That would one of the things that Central Park Conservancy brought up was that part of the frustration that City Council has not even allowed a hearing on the legislation. We haven't even had a preliminary hearing yet. We need to in order to vote. And major work is done in that first. Right. So a lot of this could get addressed with a public hearing. So that is why you see that call for a public hearing, in there, but there's, you know, the committee certainly had issues with a lot of pieces of the law, although generally we're in this, agreed with the spirit of the law, but, felt that there needed to be a lot of detail added. And so that was my understanding of a lot of the reservations that we voted down.
And Tiffany just joined.
Yes, I'm here. Marisa, thank you so much. I'm so sorry, you guys. I can't show my face, but I can at least get my voice now. Where are we at? Should I go to question?
No worries, Tiffany. So just to catch you up, I presented it probably not as well as you will, but I presented kind of the high level points of the resolution. And so we are now in questions.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, any comments? All right, great. Okay, on to anything else on the agenda that I missed? You guys covered everything. We bounced around a little bit. Which one is this? Oh, we're gonna talk about this. This is, yeah, we're gonna talk about this sort of in new business / offline. This is board actions and doesn't need to be voted on for tonight. All right, and then the last item is the social event. So we had a little bit of a conversation at the beginning of this, but essentially, I know we've been holding our vice chair have been kind of actively pursuing this, but we've been a little bit held up as we seem to be often held up by budgetary considerations and just sort of turnover and trying to make sure that we are not living beyond our means. So I think where we have landed is that we are going to try to schedule this potentially at one of our members' rooftop for like a relatively nominal fee that we think we can afford. And then just kind of, you know, maybe it'll become a potluck and it'll be a little less of a catered event and more just everyone coming, but just trying to get us all in a space together in a social capacity. So did I miss anything around Samir?
No, I mean, I think, okay, we just need to, there are a limited number, just so for everyone's like awareness, when a date is presented, there are a limited number of dates. It's probably going to be a Thursday because every other day of the week we have meetings. And it needs to be when it's still relatively warm out. And there probably won't be a rain date because I don't know that we can do that. So just know there isn't going to probably be tons of flexibility around this once we set up on a date. And it will probably be soon.
Mhm.
Are there capacity constraints or can it fit all 50 people if they want to come? Great.
We don't know.
Collude with a fellow resident in order to,
Yes.
but yeah, I think there's enough for, probably not enough for people to bring people out from outside the board, but enough for everyone at the board, all the members to attend.
Yes, it's not confirmed and we'll get confirmed RSVPs and we'll do all that stuff. The first thing will be confirming that the space is available, which the board member responsible will do. And then we will quickly move, Samir and I will work to quickly move for a date and quickly move to confirm RSVPs.
Great. Anything else? Okay. On to new business. So I'm gonna start for that. So one of the items that I raised, I forget which month it was, but one of the, as part of the MSMX, we talked about the hotel special permit. And that was something that was determined sort of wasn't scope for that consideration and wasn't well dealt with as part of that process. However, it is something that the board cares about. District broadly, I think there is a in sort of understanding ways to modify that special permit process. At the time, we had said we were going to have a special task force to deal with that due to some kind of just like timing issues and, you know, other entities on the sort of actions of the board that never really got up to speed. And then as part of this, we had a conversation with Councilmember Botcher, who reached out to us and said it would be very helpful if there were some items that we could sort of pass as a board action that would sort of push some of those forwards. And I don't know if you wanted to summarize those, because you probably will be able to do it better than I would, David.
Yeah, there were, you know, in various documents that we issued along the way, there were three issues that we raised. Two of them are related to the tax abatements. There's a tax abatement for new construction and a tax abatement for conversion of existing commercial buildings. And there are issues with both of those tax abatements, again, which we had raised earlier in the process. And then the hotel special permit issue kind of came up numerous times in the process. So yeah, as Brad mentioned, you know, Botcher asked us if we could sort of bring this all together in one place and issue a letter. It requires action at the council level, it requires action in Albany. So the idea was to just raise the visibility. So that's what we've done.
And so two of those three things were explicitly addressed in our Midtown South resolutions, which is what you're seeing here, this resolution, and we can talk about further about the formatting, because perhaps a letter is a better way to do this than a reso. But those, that letter can be sent out basically based on actions we've taken in the past. For the hotel special permit, that, we're still working with Nancy to figure out exactly the timing for this, but that will be dealt, we'll bring that back to land use and deal with that in a more typical committee process rather than task force. But I just want to update you all because I did say, I don't know if I did say it here, but I definitely said it to full board that we were gonna do it this way, and now we're pivoting. Questions about that?
So we're not doing it.
So basically, we're gonna turn that into a letter and then send a letter that says,
So we will not.
correct, if it's everything in there is based on.
And then the November 13th date that we set right about orders, special permit will.
Yeah, it'll be, well, I mean, it still could, I don't think we've set the agenda for next cycle's meeting. I'll talk with Nancy offline about that in terms of if we could do it then or.
Is there a time pressure though?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we were asked mid-August to do this. That wasn't really possible. We kind of missed the September cycle, so.
Okay, so we'll talk.
And I think part of it is getting on the record before the.
Okay.
So with the new process, so instead of a task force, it'll just come to a regular land use committee. If there were folks who are not on land use but interested in the task force, how will they be given a similar opportunity to participate? Because with the task force, like when I did the daylighting task force, we had people who were outside of transportation who wanted to participate. They came, they voted, they were allowed, and then we passed a resolution up to the transportation committee that then went to land use. Would you see a similar process here, or how would that work?
I don't think we're gonna do it quite the same way the daylight task force. I think it's going to be dealt with, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you have a different vision for this, Nancy, but that this will be dealt with sort of as a typical committee item. So people who are not on the committee can still come, they can still come and have their voice be heard there, and then also at the full board, they just won't be able to vote at the committee. Other questions? Comments?
I mean, on that point, I mean, I did talk, David Shapiro has been very involved in this issue. I spoke to David at length a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, he seemed okay with that. So he was planning on attending the land use committee meeting where this is taken.
Any other new business? Nancy?
Intro 1107. At the city council.
Do you wanna just explain to everyone what intro 1107?
Does anyone know what intro 1107 is? It is supposedly backed by Airbnb. And it is for 1 and 2 family homes to allow short-term rentals. And there are many housing advocates that are opposed to this because it kind of goes against the city of Yes. And we made a special thing in the city of Yes called ADUs, additional dwelling units, or auxiliary dwelling units in the zoning. And those could then, instead of adding to the housing stock, would be pulled out of the housing stock. So it's an issue that goes against something that we supported in the city of Yes. And we need to find out more about it.
Yeah, where are they in the council with it?
I
Like, it's
don't
just been
know.
introduced.
I
Okay.
just know it's an intro.
Right, okay.
Samir, you seem to know more about it.
I mean, it's pretty new. It has 11 co-sponsors. It came on the radar, I think, end of last year. There's definitely groups mobilizing against it. Airbnb has been doing a lot of advertising. in favor of it. But it only does apply to 1 and 2 family homes, which we don't have that many of in District 5. But I don't see a reason that we shouldn't weigh in on it.
My concern is it goes against the city of Yes,
No, I understand.
which we were very supportive of, and
So
most of the boroughs were against.
is that something that you're planning on taking up at one of your future?
We're gonna try to figure out, we need to find a speaker, I think. Will come and talk with us. City Council intro 11.
Do you know who are the co-sponsors? Any of them?
None in our district, it's mostly people
It
in
doesn't really apply to
Deep
me.
Brooklyn and then further up in the borough.
No, thank that.
No one in the house.
Except the top down.
My concern is this is the start of Airbnb, then it might be easier to amend that to multiple, that my concern is maybe amendment slipping in and now all of a sudden it's multiple dwelling units. And we're right back to sucking out housing where we want it. Cause it just takes the housing stock
I think it's,
out of the market.
I think it's certainly for the land use.
According to chat, it has been referred to the Committee on Housing and Buildings, but no date has been posted yet.
Chat knows all things.
Any other new business? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.